Hey there. Since Sunday afternoon, we've been getting a lot of messages from the city about the chemicals that spilled into the Delaware River in Bucks County and about our tap water. We'll talk more about this ongoing story later in the show. Today on CityCast Philly, not all roads in PA lead to getting a vanity plate greenlit. For this episode, I'm teaming up with CityCast Pittsburgh to break down what phrases, acronyms, or combination of up to 7 letters and numbers get rejected by the state when it comes to personalized license plates. It's Tuesday, March 28th. I'm Trinae Nuri, and here's what Philly's talking about. Joining me now is CityCast Pittsburgh's Megan Harris and Elizabeth Kama. Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Megan, Elizabeth, do you know anyone who has a vanity plate?
I do not personally, but I will always see like the mistakes or the funny ones on Twitter, like on my thing. Like, can you believe someone got this?
I have several friends with like an idea of what they want, right? But like none of us have actually taken that next step of going to actually get one.
Yeah, I've seen like, there's some that catch my eye, especially the ones that have my initials or like, special like birthday years of people, like loved ones, things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never actually gotten a vanity plate. I was just so happy to get my license and like start driving. I wasn't like, let's get a personalized plate. Like, no.
No. And I love the vanity, like the plate covers too that have like, your sports team or whatever. I was big into those when I was younger. Or an airbrush. That's a real throwback.
Well, how about the bejeweled ones?
Right.
Oh my goodness. Well, I don't know much about Bejeweled, but I have been looking into PennDOT's like rejected license plates. And so to see like what's safe, what's not safe, what they're going to reject, what they're not going to reject. And PennDOT is basically the government agency that oversees all things transportation in the state. And they get to make the call about what vanity plates are approved or rejected.
Okay, I've got to ask the money question. How much do these things cost? How much does it cost drivers to get one of these? What are the fees like?
Yeah, it costs $85 to like, do the application.
Wow.
Which is a pretty penny for like a piece of metal, to be quite honest. I don't know if I have vanity license plate money.
What types of ideas get flagged?
Yeah, I mean, so there's some obvious ones. If someone already has it, that's like the biggest thing. You can't have 2 people with the same license plate. But no swear words, no acronyms that mean swear words, nothing too sexual, nothing violent or gang related, nothing drug related, nothing racist, sexist, or generally prejudiced. So like anything you'd be upset that a kid saw, they probably don't want it on a license plate.
Mm-hmm. I once ran a comment section at a newspaper back in like the early aughts. And I remember thinking just how creative people could be with the words so that they wouldn't get automatically flagged or banned. It's not that obvious, is it?
I mean, it is funny because some of them get rejected for reasons that I wasn't expecting.
Oh.
So like if they were government adjacent.
You mean like impersonating a government official or something?
Yeah, like if you had like FBI, like you can't have that as a vanity license plate.
I am a cop.
Yeah, that is not allowed.
I am cop 88.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not quite sure who you'd fool, but they're worried. Also, if they're purposefully hard to read, that's another thing. References to gambling aren't allowed. I feel like that's like a remnant of our Quaker past. One of the ones that I asked repeatedly why, but I was never given an answer, was references to excretory functions. So pee, poop, fart. Not allowed. And I think that also fits within the lewd or vulgar, which is like a different standard than sexual, but was never clearly lined out for me by PennDOT.
Yeah, because I was like, vulgar seems very vague.
I totally agree. And like their whole list can sometimes seem vague. So I decided to do a very unscientific data analysis of the list. They actually release a list of all the licenses that they rejected every year. So I kind of like went through the list. It was 1,211 license plates. So a lot.
Oh my God. For $85 each? That's so much money.
It's a lot.
They got to pay for the potholes somehow.
Oh my God.
So I basically just kind of like assigned them a value being like, okay, like, is this violent? Is this like vulgar, sexual, crude? Like, why would this get rejected? And I also, put some fun categories in there too. Like, I have no clue what this means, why it's here. And also, like, I personally believe that this one should have been allowed under my moral guideline, which I'm sure PennDOT is very interested in, specifically what I think.
Of course. Always so dedicated to your craft, Elizabeth. I guess, kind of along the lines of like your categories here, how many do you feel like you did know? I mean, you are a Zoomer, so I assume you're pretty up on at least some of the stuff.
Megan. I may be a chronically online 20-something teenage girl, but I was clueless. I did not understand what 48% of
48%? That's a huge number.
It's so large. I just had no clue.
Wait, is that a good thing, though? Does that mean that you're innocent?
Give us some examples.
Okay, well, I had no clue what FYPM meant. Like, I don't know. There's an organization in my college that was like first year players, and it was like an acting organization. So I was like,
that is not what that means, Elizabeth.
Wait, what does it mean? I don't know.
F you pay me?
Oh.
Brought to us by our own Rihanna, of course. I think that's legit where I heard it the first time. I don't know if that's coined by her.
Well, I mean, bangers on bangers.
That's so, And so PennDOT would flag that?
PennDOT flagged it and they rejected it. They said, no, you can't get a license plate that says that.
Wow.
There were some that I had no clue why they were rejected. Like, I was like, this does not seem offensive. This does not seem like it fit like any of the categories. So, no tofu was one.
Oh,
that's so sweet.
That's wholesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was all one word, so maybe FU got flagged, but no tofu, I feel like should have been allowed.
Yeah.
Pagan was also not allowed. Where are my Wiccans at? They want some representation.
Yeah, I feel like that one's back to the Quaker thing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, moisting. I like moist is like, I know, a controversial word, but I didn't realize that PennDOT would be like, nah, too controversial. The letters D-O together, do.
Like in any form?
Just the letter do. Like that was the license plate submission, and that was rejected.
Oh, well, maybe because it's only 2 characters.
But what if it was something like do vote, go vote, like something positive? Like, do you think they'll flag that?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't see anything like do vote, do, anything positive, but DO, the word do, which, I use quite a bit. Sorry to PennDOT. I do things. So, maybe I need to be censored.
Okay, Elizabeth, from your analysis, what would you say was the biggest reason why some vanity plate applications got rejected?
Well, 41.6% had some sort of like swear word involved, whether that would be like an acronym or like some people just, they fully submitted like a fully written out swear word.
Bold.
Yeah, truly. They were like, this will go through. $85, that's fine. And on the flip side, only like 5 people wanted license plates that were like FBI or like government, assigned license plates. I should mention, if these percents aren't like adding up for people, some of the license plates contained multitudes. They could be both sexual and incorporate swear words, or be violent and gang related. So, they're a little complex.
Overachievers.
Layers.
Are there any on the list that you personally think then should have been allowed?
Okay, I have a few that I would have loved to see on the streets just because the people were telling on themselves a little bit. There were several fart license plates that I just feel like should have been allowed because they weren't harmful, just a little crude, and you'd like know to avoid those drivers. Like, you're like, okay, if they're, spending $85 on a fart vanity license plate, maybe I don't tailgate them.
Maybe that's not your preferred maturity level.
Yeah. There were a few that I thought were funny or sweet, like fuck cancer or F burpees, which are both sentiments I agree with.
Oh God, yes.
I would have loved to see those. I agree with them. I mean, I was okay with most of PennDOT's decisions. I only disagreed with like 0.01% of them. And most of those I understood why PennDOT like rejected it in the first place. I was just like, under my moral standards, these should be on the roads.
So the process of accepting or rejecting vanity plates, Elizabeth, how does this all work?
I mean, I was fascinated by that. I actually spoke to someone from PennDOT about the process, Diego Sandino. He's the press officer for driver and vehicle services at PennDOT. He actually walked me through the whole process. So first things first, there's like a group of employees that have a weekly meeting to go over new vanity license plate applications.
Wow. That must be such a fun meeting, I think. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of Googling.
Right. Everyone's like cracking up. Like.
Yeah.
But basically, they make sure that no one has the license plate. They see if it's on the previously rejected list. That's like an easy, okay, no. But if they're not seeing it on those things, then it comes to them to start Googling and looking up to what Diego referred to as a slang dictionary.
So Urban Dictionary.
I asked him several times what the tools were, and he just kept on repeating the terms internal tools and slang and acronym dictionaries.
Would not confirm or deny Urban Dictionary in the
Yeah. My assumption is that, yes, they are probably furiously searching on Urban Dictionary.
Bless.
So when can drivers expect to hear from PennDOT? Like, how long does it take for an application to go through from filing it to either getting the plate or getting that notice of rejection?
Yeah, and do you get your money back if you get rejected?
Right. Like, this is a lot of money, y'all.
So the timeline, so to answer the first question, the timeline can take a while. If it shows up on the list or it's already in circulation, it's an easy no. You immediately get your rejection. But they have so many that they have to do this weekly meeting, and they have busy times of year, less busy times of year. But they really interrogate every little thing because as Diego Sandina says, they take it really seriously.
But basically, they do this weekly because if not, it does take some time to kind of go through and make sure that nothing out there is offensive or contradictory to PennDOT's mission. And ideally, we don't want anything out there also that is just promoting something against traffic safety, right? They're used for official business, and it's related to PennDOT, law enforcement, and again, motor vehicle and traffic safety. We want to make sure that all these license plates follow what we expect and what we want Pennsylvania license plate to say.
It always comes back to law enforcement. What about people who don't know, right? If you just want your initials or something fun like that, and you don't realize that it's an acronym for something bad or ridiculous, and it never even occurs to you to check Urban Dictionary.
Right. And so can PennDOT offer drivers suggestions for alternative license plate ideas?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so PennDOT does send letters to people who applied telling them, why their license was rejected. So you do know, and you can call them and basically be like, I did not know what's going on. And they will talk you through it on the phone and try to troubleshoot with you and find alternative meanings or alternative ways of writing it that will maybe not get flagged or don't have those kind of dirty meetings or controversial meetings.
But I'm thinking of producer Mallory, right? Mallory Falk, MF. Could she ever have a vanity license plate?
Oh no, Mallory. Oh gosh.
I'm sure if she calls PennDOT, they'd be happy to try. With enough, she can just spend more time talking to people who, talking to our transportation secretary, and I'm sure that together they can come up with a solution.
Everybody loves the DMV. That always goes well.
Yeah. And to answer your question about money, I unfortunately do not know. I did reach out to Diego with a follow-up asking about that, and I have not heard back.
Do things ever slip through the cracks, though?
I mean, of course, they're only human. And another part is as we talked about earlier, language evolves so quickly, nowadays that things that are perfectly harmless one day might become TikTok slang for something sexual the next day. I mean, I have a friend whose father got the license plate 2 girls because he has 2 daughters. But people thought that he was referencing a certain famous piece of pornography.
No.
Yeah.
Oh
and he was just trying to be a good dad.
That went south really fast.
Yeah. I mean, Diego says that they'll actually get calls from people complaining, being oh my gosh, that's so inappropriate that you had that as a vanity license. And then they try to problem solve from there. And they'll add the phrase and acronym to their internal tools. They might call up the person who has that car registered to them and try to see to let them know that their car has this alternative meaning.
Ugh, those are narcs. I mean, I like taking pictures of interesting ones when I'm driving just because they're funny and I'll send them to friends. But I can't imagine calling the government and being you need to do something about this.
I don't know. I mean, they could also just write them down and send them in. I don't know. They are a little bit narcs, but I guess more hands make less work. So, if there's anyone who has, unfortunate acronyms, maybe it's helpful for them to know that, there's a secondary meaning for something that they thought was perfectly innocent.
Well, if someone wanted to get a vanity license plate, what would that process look like?
Yeah, give us your hot tips, Elizabeth, for anyone who wants to avoid an expensive rejection.
Okay, well, the first thing I would say is to check the personalized registration plate availability tool. That's like a mouthful, but we'll include a link in our show notes, which basically you can search and see if anyone already has a license plate that you want. And then I would also, do a Control F and search the do not issue list, which we will also include on the show notes, so that you can, see if there's if someone has already tried and gotten rejected. And, my hot tip, if you are trying to get something dirty or lewd or vulgar by PennDOT, good luck. I would do your due diligence to make sure that its meaning isn't the first thing that comes up on Google or Urban Dictionary. You have to already have a license plate to kind of begin this process, but all you have to do is fill out the form NV904 and mail it into PennDOT's P.O. Box in Harrisburg with a check or money order, and you begin your process.
I didn't even think to ask this. Do either of Yins have a vanity plate? I'm too indecisive. I could never.
I don't have one, but if I did have one, Elizabeth, can you search this for me? Does anyone have John 88? Like John, because it's
like JOWN.
And 88, because that's the year I was born. So, yeah, John 88. I'm John 88.
I'm gonna look you up on the plate to see if anyone else has it.
Okay.
Trinae, you are good. You had a original idea. No one else is trying to get John 88 with or without the space.
Nobody better steal this idea.
And it's not, John isn't on the banned list because Jagoff is all over that banned list. This feels really prejudicial to Pittsburgh, and I'm not okay.
It is not on the banned list. I don't know if it's because Jagoff has a more mean connotation, or because there's more Pittsburghers who work for PennDOT.
No, this is Pittsburgh erasure.
Oh, maybe you need to call PennDOT and let your voice be heard.
Well, I'm getting that, John. All right. That was Elizabeth, and Megan Harris from CityCast Pittsburgh. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll have all the links to the tools we mentioned in this episode in our show notes. And here's what else Philly's talking about. Officials said tap water is safe to use for drinking, cooking, and washing until at least 3:30 p.m. today. At a press conference held yesterday, officials said that no contaminants were detected in the water and that there are plans to continue testing over the next few days. Now, this all comes after a chemical spill that made its way into the Delaware River. The city estimates that this issue won't last past next week. We'll be speaking with an environmental reporter all about this on tomorrow's show. Stay tuned. And former Philadelphia police officer John Wood dropped out of the mayor's race. According to NBC 10, Wood said he can't compete with the, quote, millions of dollars other candidates have raised. So this means that Democrat and former city council member Sherelle Parker now has the top ballot position. The primary is May 16th. It's time for the tip of the day, where we share a life hack for living in Philly. There's still a lot of uncertainty around Philly's tap water after the chemical spill. So it's a good idea to store 3 days worth of clean water in your house. According to city officials, that's defined as 1 gallon per person per day. And since store shelves may be empty or limiting how much water you can buy, officials say you can fill bottles and pitchers with tap water, again, while it's still safe until at least 3:30 this afternoon. You can see if you live or if your business is in a potentially impacted area by looking up your address on the Delaware River Latex Spill Impact Map. We'll have a link in our show notes. If you have a tip of the day, we'd love to hear from you too. Call or text us at 215-259-8170. That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. If you enjoyed this episode about vanity license plates, please tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, And make sure you hit that subscribe button. Be sure to sign up for our morning newsletter too. It's called Hey Philly. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye.
I wasn't brave enough to bring a beverage into the pillow fort, but I'm very jealous.
What's holding it together? I like forts.